Stardew Valley is the coziest farming sim ever, where you can grow the cutest crops, have the best decorated farm, and marry the hottest villager in town. But beneath this cute facade is a dark side that you have either not seen or choose to ignore. Take a moment to grab your headphones, turn off the lights, and prepare for the rabbit hole we are about to go down. While you do that, let me tell you about Pocket Champs, who is kind enough to sponsor this video. Pocket Champs is a super cute idle multiplayer game that is currently free to download on Android and iOS. Basically, your goal is to coach the ultimate racing champ. Your champ trains while you are offline to prepare for their next race. You can also analyze your racing environment and select a useful gadget to craft a winning strategy. When your champ's training and strategy is complete, you gotta do what any good coach does. Trust your champ and sit back while they compete for the ultimate prize. As you gain experience, you can climb the online leaderboards and unlock hundreds of new gadgets, skins, and other rewards. In Pocket Champs, you will almost never use the same strategy twice, since there are so many different tracks and terrains to discover and overcome. Download Pocket Champs for free from the link in the description. Using this link really helps out my channel, so try the cutest idle racing game today to get a free starter pack with 500 gems plus a super cute monkey skin. Now, where were we? So here they are, the 12 darkest secrets and theories in Stardew Valley. In our first year in Stardew Valley, you can meet every NPC except for one. This is Kent, of course, who only joins us in year 2. He was out fighting in a war against the Gotoro Empire. The valley looks so peaceful that it's hard to think that there is actually a war being fought while we just farm and go to festivals. Well, it's so bad that Kent has actual PTSD from the fighting. In some of his later dialogue, Kent shares with us that he was actually held in a prison camp. Doesn't this just kind of shatter the illusion of this cute farming sim? In Stardew Valley, you can have kids, although they are kinda useless, besides the fact that you can put hats on them. So do the right thing and go use the Shrine of Selfishness, where you can use a prismatic shard to turn them into doves. On the 26th of fall, after you have turned your children into doves, a strange TV show will show on the TV called question mark. A doll appears on the screen saying, "You brought this upon yourself. Now I'm free." And that's not all. A doll will pop out of the screen, and if you take it to the witch's hut, a floating ancient doll will attack you. Is this the symbol of our children's lost souls? But it gets even stranger. When you take the ancient doll to the witch's hut, you may receive a phone call saying, "You have forsaken us." So your children are basically haunting you for making them disappear. That's pretty dark, as well as your spouse not even having a tiny bit of a reaction to their children disappearing. Do they not care? Are they actually happy the children are gone? Can they feel? Before the war against the Gotoro Empire, there appears to have been another war, perhaps in an age before Stardew Valley as we know it. We know this ancient war had dire consequences. These were the elemental wars, fought between our friends the Dwarfs and the Shadow People. We all love Krobus and maybe the Dwarf too. It all began when the Dwarfs banded together and drove the Shadow People out of their ancestral home. The Shadow People fought back and retaliated with force. Our lovable shadow friend Krobus tells us this war has been going on for 1,000 years and only recently came to an end. If you manage to earn 50 points of friendship with the dwarf and buy the star drop from Krobus, you will get this cutscene when you enter the sewers. We see that the dwarf still blames Krobus and the Shadow People for the death of her family. The wizard then interrupts this conflict and brings it to an end. Pam, our trusty bus driver, has a big problem, and I'm sure you can guess what it is. Pam has an unhealthy relationship with alcohol. You can find her at the Stardrop Saloon almost every night having a drink, and it has torn a drift between her and Penny, who is Pam's daughter. Her drinking actually affects the valley in more ways that you would think. In this cutscene with Gus and Pam, you can see that Pam has a lot of debt at the saloon. Poor Gus is usually a charitable guy and will keep struggling financially. All this while Pam just keeps on drinking and drinking some more. Luckily for us, we can confront her about this. Bad Pam for making the daddy of the valley struggle. Shane is the biggest contender for the I can fix him archetype. Shane opens up about his depression in his 2 heart event and shares a beer with you on the pier. You also learn that he is an alcoholic in his 4th heart event. It seems alcoholism is a pretty big deal in the valley, especially where people are single and don't have that much to do. Shane is definitely one of the loneliest, most bored characters out there. Not only does the valley have 2 alcoholics, but both are pretty depressed. And there are even elements mentioned about life being better without him. At least Pam and Shane are the easiest characters to find gifts and quests for. But we can make their problems even bigger by gifting alcohol, which they love. Now I kinda regret making my early game brewery. Clint is a real nice guy, according to himself. He doesn't understand why he can't get women. Most of the marriage candidates find themselves a partner if you don't marry them. But Emily is the exception. Even if you don't marry Emily, she and Clint never get together. Clint seems to be quite lonely and unable to move past his feelings for Emily. The nice guy usually doesn't realize that the person they like aren't interested. They are filled with a lot of self-hate from their romantic failures. In a lot of his heart events, we can see his creepy actions towards Emily. It's kind of funny because a blacksmith probably gets a lot of gems and minerals, which Emily loves. He's not well liked by the community, but you gotta feel for him. A big L for Clint. Maybe he's not such a nice guy after all. Pierre, the shop owner, does our farmer dirty. He sells our produce and artisan products as his own. By telling his customers so, he probably charges them much more than our selling price too. In his 6th heart event, you can find what is labeled as his secret stash behind the bookshelf in his bedroom. What could this stash be? If it's just savings, does Caroline even know about it? Caroline shares in casual dialogue that she used to visit the wizard and that we shouldn't tell Pierre. This married couple loves hiding things from each other, making their marriage one of secrets. Who knows if Abigail is even their daughter? These visits to the wizard from Caroline might have been more than just a visit. This leads nicely to our next point. The one and only wizard, also known as Magnus Rasmodius, seems very involved in the dark side of Stardew Valley. He's right in the middle of a little drama as well. In the Dark Talisman quest, the wizard asks us to go and retrieve his magical ink pot from his ex-wife's place. He says that he made a huge mistake and it made her furious and even turned her green. Could this mistake be linked to Abigail and Caroline's visits? We realize that she must have been the witch we see flying around flinging curses every now and then. But oh no, it doesn't end there. In some throwaway dialogue the wizard shares with us, he shares his suspicion that he might have a daughter in the valley. There are other theories out there suggesting that Caroline struggled to have a child and approached the wizard for a spell. Others say the wizard doesn't age, which made his wife turn green from jealousy, and that he could even be Caroline's dad. Alex comes off as very mean and arrogant at first, but as you start to befriend him, you get to learn more of his sad past. In his 4th heart event, he shares why he lives with his grandparents, Evelyn and George. His mother got sick and then passed away, leaving him alone with his grandparents. When his father wasn't absent, he was abusive and called Alex worthless. What makes this even more sad and heartbreaking is that in his 5th heart event, he even calls himself worthless. We see the terrible effect of his dad's words on his self-worth. Like Haley, it takes a while to warm up to Alex's character and break through his macho exterior. George is a lovable, old, grumpy man of the valley. You might think George is just in a wheelchair because of his age, but the truth is much darker. After befriending and getting to know this dear old man some more, we eventually learn that he had a horrible mining accident some 30 years ago. He says he slipped while placing down some dynamite and never never walked again. But it gets even darker. George's daughter died of a sickness, and then he had to take care of her son Alex. Concerned Ape really went the extra mile to make our beloved NPCs' backstories as real as possible. We love the bachelors and bachelorettes of Stardew Valley. Well, most of them, cough cough, Harvey and Elliot. So we are always quick to jump to date them and then quickly marry them so we can lock them up on our farm and let them rarely leave the farm. But jokes aside, marrying the NPCs actually ruins their lives. They drop most of what they were doing during their days and mostly stay around our farm. All of them have big dreams that they want to achieve, like Sebastian, our most favorite bachelor that wants to leave Stardew Valley and go to the big city. If we marry him, he never leaves and just stays in Stardew Valley forever. Even when marrying his friend Sam, Sam loses all interest in his band and just becomes a trophy husband. Poor guy. Do the right thing. Don't marry. Rabbit's feet are one of the best gifts in the game to give to villagers. Give them iridium quality rabbit's feet and you will befriend them in no time. But have you thought of the absurdity of this? The rabbits regularly shed their feet when they're happy after you have pet and fed them, and then regrow a whole limb again just so that they could shed it again. How many feet does one rabbit have? And what do they feed the rabbits in the valley that they have the unique ability to regrow whole limbs? And why do the villagers love rabbit's feet? All very strange and important questions. Our favorite farming sim might seem all wholesome, but there are in fact very dark parts to it, which gives the game a lot more depth. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a like and why not subscribe?